Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of the Bulletproof Dental Practice podcast. Today, it's Craig and Pete just banging out content in 10 changing your life in 10 minutes or less, which Craig is not too sure about this format. I am really pushing him. So if you're loving it, please put the comments below the video or somehow ping us so we can keep this format, because Craig is pushing us to go back to the Joe Rogan format of hours of droning on.
Oh, bullshit, man. I'm not saying hours. I'm just saying 10 minutes is a little bit tough. But
and Joe doesn't drone on, actually. Joe's really
come on. Yeah.
But I like it.
We drone on.
My life is lived in bulletproof bullet points.
Yeah.
I like
bulletproof bullet points.
I like things very pithy and to the point. I tell people start at the end and work backwards if you're getting too wordy for me.
I'm like that with other people are talking, but when I'm talking, that rule doesn't apply. Anyway, let's do that timer thing. I like that timer.
Okay. 10 minutes, Greg. Everyone knows the rules. Today, we're going to be talking about making money isn't about being lucky. And Craig has a lot to say about this. So we're taking this from, as you can hear it, tick, tick, tick. We're taking this from Naval Ravikant, who is, I think, an oracle of today. He is just wise beyond. He's just one of those people on earth that you're like, holy cow, you're here just a lot smarter than the rest of us. So Craig, let's jump into it. Yeah, so making money isn't about luck. It's about becoming the kind of person who makes money.
Right. I think that people have just a thermostat and an idea set for their financial status in life. And it's like a thermostat works with both heat and air conditioning. So if you got it set to 70 degrees and you start getting warm, making more money, you think you should make X amount of dollars and you start getting too much money, you have a way of kind of self-sabotaging, and the AC kicks on and it cools you back down. Then you fall too low and you're making too little money, it'll kind of kick back up. So I think it's a psychological idea that being broke is not a physical reality, but it's a mindset. And I've seen so many examples of that now that I believe that. And I think it applies to me. Like I used to have this like idea of a dollar amount I wanted to make, and believe it or not, I got stuck there, and then I had to change it, and then I got stuck there. So I think the ones that make the most amount of money have just a belief that they're going to, be different and get a certain amount of wealth or a certain amount of income.
Do you think that if I dropped you in any random practice in the United States, and that was your full-time focus, right? Would you be quote unquote lucky again? Meaning, right? Do you see where I'm going?
Yeah, I listen. I mean, I'm a believer that there is a good dose of luck. I mean, listen, you and I are healthy. We've got healthy families, and that's luck. And that fact that we're lucky and blessed to be healthy and able allows us to put the time in to do the work. So you do need luck.
My point is, Greg, how many times do people say, "Oh, look at your practice. You're so lucky," right? And luck had not much to do with it. Meaning it was a lot of mistakes, a lot of learning, a lot of 20-hour days, a lot of stuff. So Naval talks about...
Conor McGregor says the same shit. Conor McGregor has this whole monologue about talent and how talent will actually fuck you up. So if you're super talented, if you're the smart, talent used to screw me up too. I have a really good memory, so I could hack my way through some schooling. My memory was so good, I didn't have to put the output in. So I'm the type of guy that if I study and sit down for an hour, it's equal to 2 or 3. So instead of studying for an hour and have it be equal to 2 or 3, I'd study for 10 minutes and have it be equal to an hour. And so talent will get you, if you're really good, if you're just a scratch golfer.
That's the fourth type of luck that Naval talks about. That's luck from your unique character or your skill set, right? Like you got lucky in school, quote unquote, because you had a unique ability to remember things more so than that was your advantage.
Talent is overrated. Talent is overrated. Hard work is what
it's the hardest
really
kind.
Matters.
So there's 4 types of luck. There's blind luck, which is really you just got lucky. You landed at the right place at the right time, and you're just lucky despite yourself, right? The second type is luck from hustling. It comes from the things we talked about, Craig, that you and I are both very familiar with, is the hustle your face off, work your face off, 20-hour days, be obsessed, wake up from morning, noon, and night thinking about your practice.
You'll tend to get very lucky if you do that, by the way.
Well, right, but it's
if you wake up thinking about your practice and you're constantly working on yourself, you're going to find that you're going to get very lucky in life.
The third luck is called luck from preparation, where obviously it's sharpening the knife. I mean, sharpening the axe, not just hustling and trying to brute force through something. It's actually being smart and strategic. And you're very good at spotting the opportunity and then capitalizing on it. And the fourth one is the luck from unique character, which we spoke about with Craig, where you're lucky because you're quote unquote lucky because you just have a great memory, or you're exceedingly good looking, or whatever it is. I don't know if that makes you lucky if you're good looking, but
yeah, I mean, yeah, people that are good looking have higher levels of success. I mean, that's human nature. People tend to overestimate your abilities if you're good looking. It's just the way it is. I mean, that is definitely a luck thing. But I think what we're really talking about is, when you go back to the root of this whole conversation, it's a fixed versus growth mindset. A fixed mindset person will say that person got their success because of their situation. And a growth minded person will say, I am going to change my situation and keep changing it until I find myself lucky. And you and I are both growth mindset people. And the conversation about wealth is also fixed as well. Oh, of course you're wealthy. Your dad was a pilot, Pete, or Craig, your dad was a dentist. But I'll tell you what, we're probably not as likely to be extraordinarily wealthy because we grew up comfortable. So amongst my friends, it's just anecdotal, so I don't want to go on record of saying this, but when you look at the Patrick Bet-Davids and the Roy Krocs and the Howard Schultzes from Starbucks and all those people, all the people that I know, and I mean, obviously famous and local, the ones that are really obsessed with becoming massively wealthy grew up dirt freaking poor. And they're like, I am not going back there. And that fire of being poor is something that's always lighting them, and they never want to go there. So they're running from that pain. Whereas you and I mean, your dad was an airline pilot. My dad was a dentist. We grew up middle class. We never really worried. I'm sure you never worried. You never saw your dad come home, head in his hands, crying about that would be.
The airline industry was pretty rough, but I
right.
hear what you're saying.
But I'm just, I'm just saying that it's one thing. Like Patrick Bet-David grew up as a refugee in Germany. And he's like, fuck this. I am not going back there. And so his thermostat for safety is set to millions and millions and millions of dollars. I need to get millions of dollars of security away from that painful point.
Because it insulates you, right? As it becomes a buffer away from that. And and I think that is a great motivator. Fear sometimes is a great motivator. And that was he probably ascribed to from that, just like, I'm going to hustle my way away from poverty.
And by the way, he's still probably in some deep, dark part of his
it's embedded in his psychology now.
Believes he could go broke still because it's so embedded in his psychology. Like I know some really wealthy people that are actually worried about going broke. They're worried about security. So they have all this money, like, okay, I'll buy a crazy boat. I'll buy a guest house. I've been a separate house, another house. And now they have real pain because they're like, oh yeah, I make $1 million a year, $2 million a year, but I spend $1 million or $2 million a year. So the pain of going broke is still real. I mean, we all know people that make 50 to 80 grand a year and they're wealthy. They could go through a crisis like this and not even worry. And we all know people that make $1 million a year that are worried right now about going broke through the COVID crisis. So it's just about how you spend, and being wealthy is just living on less than you earn is being wealthy.
You don't get scared about that sometimes? I mean, I think mine's more psychologically embedded. I've definitely had some. I fear it a lot, right?
I mean, I would be lying if I said I wasn't. I would be lying, but there's this wonderful thing that I do. It's called the and then what idea. We've talked about this before. So let's just say that our fear is losing our practice through COVID-19, right? Okay, so we lose our practice or we can't make the bills. And then what? We try to negotiate with our vendors. And then what? We go bankrupt. And then what? We have to sell all of our assets. And then what? And then by the time you get all the way down to it, do you have your skill? Yeah, no one can take my dental skill away. Okay, could you work as an associate? Yeah, you know what? And then you have a whiteboard. Maybe you don't love living in Wisconsin or Arizona.
I love that exercise, right?
Because that's what I do.
Usually the worst case scenario isn't so damn bad.
Yeah, well, there's a unique opportunity. So maybe you live in a place of the world that you're like, I don't really want to be here anyway. And now I could whiteboard it. Now I can go be an associate for someone in San Diego County and live on the ocean. And you know what? I'll work 4 days a week. I'll make 150, 250, whatever it is, or 100 grand. And life will be, from there, we'll go forward. So that was what I did when I built my building. I said, worst case scenario, my wife and I were in vacation in Southern California. We're in Carmel. And my plan B was very real. I said to my wife, baby, listen, if this all hits the fan, I'm going to go and we're going to live here. But there's something about owing a lot of money. It's better to owe a lot of money than a little money. Because if you owe a lot of money and you know, like our buddy Dwight Pecora, who's building a massive 10,000 square foot building in Fort Bend Dental Group. Oh, Pete,
right,
you
finish
suck.
your thought.
No, the rules are the rules.
All right, we'll have to continue it on another.
You know what I mean by if you know you owe a lot of money. The bank doesn't want to take a dental building back.
They don't want your asset.
They don't want your asset. They want an operating practice. So that's what I'm saying.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you the next time.
10 minutes or less. So
10 minutes. 10 minutes.
High five.
High five.